What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. This is like my second time making this video because I tried the first time and the audio was completely shot out. So I figured I'd try my new GoPro and we'll see how this works. But so it kind of sucks because this is a little bit of a negative video for you guys. Not one of my favorite ones to make, but I want to kind of give you a sort of rundown and detail my experience with getting the Whipple Supercharger installed on the Mustang. So just to like, first things first, so the Whipple is installed, so we are running Whipple. The car does run extremely well now, which we'll get into. And then two, it was a pretty frustrating and honestly like a pretty unfortunate experience. So I was thinking about it, but I what I'm not going to do is mention the shop's name. I feel like I could not do that in good conscience. So I understand things happen, and it just doesn't feel right if I mention them. Now, it's probably not that hard to figure it out, as I have mentioned to you guys in past videos who I was going to go with for the supercharger install, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to mention their name. So to get into it, this was the weekend before Labor Day. So it was that Friday before Labor Day, and I get a text from the shop saying that the Whipple arrives. So I was like, okay, perfect. I was like, when's the earliest I can drop the car off? They're like, oh, just drop it off Tuesday. So awesome, perfect. Let's do that. Drop the car off on Tuesday, and they get the work done real quick. It only took them 2 days, and what I also had them do was oil pump gears and crank sprocket install. So on Thursday, car was totally completed. Only took them 2 days. Superchargers installed, oil pump gears and crank sprocket, those are installed, good to go. Now, as you guys probably know with Whipple, the way it works is you pull the base file tune off the car, you email it to Whipple, they'll make their tune changes, whatever parameters those are, and then they send it back to you, and you have a new tune from Whipple for the supercharger. Well, and by the way, this is definitely not the shop's fault, and I don't even think it's Whipple's fault. I think it's Ford Performance's fault. Well, now Ford Racing, but I guess what happened is Ford Racing put out a stop hold on tunes for Whipple to send out. I guess, I mean, apparently this isn't not completely uncommon, and this happens here and there, where there's like some car restriction or some EPA compliance thing that has to be modified within the tunes that Whipple sends out, and that derives from Ford first, and then they let Whipple, actually make those change parameters before they actually send it out. So that happened, and then I get a text from the shop on Thursday saying, hey, Whipple is not sending out tunes, and Whipple isn't really describing why, but I don't think this is Whipple's fault. I think this comes from Ford themselves. But right at that point, like, there's a fully completed and assembled car, but it's dead in the water sitting on the lift, because you can't do anything with it until you have a tune. So asked the shop, like, can we just do like a custom tune? They're like, yeah, we can do that. And by the way, I'm very glad I went with a custom tune, because it's now 3, almost 4 weeks later, and I still don't have my tune from Whipple that they're supposed to email me. So I'm really glad I did go with the custom tune at the end of the day, just for the sake of not waiting. But the shop works with Rob Shoemaker, so it's one of his tunes, which is a pretty cool thing. So, Rob Shoemaker, he's pretty big in the Mustang game. Like, he's one of the top tuners in the country for these Coyotes. So, I'm happy with that. Definitely happy to have a reputable tuner, doing the tune for my car. But it just sucked because it was, $550 for the tune plus $200 for the credits to get the RTD4 device unlocked to my VIN. So it just kind of sucked that was more money throwing at the car, but I just, like, at this point, whatever. I'm so excited to have my car back and running supercharged, like, whatever. Well, there's not much I can do besides wait, and I'm really glad I didn't. So they did the Rob Shoemaker tune, and they tell me on Friday, hey, the car's ready, come pick it up. So get the car, and there's kind of 3 things. Well, there's one issue with the charger charges, and then 2 issues with the car itself. So with the charge is they never told me they were gonna do any data logging, and to my understanding is you really shouldn't have to with a tune from Rob Shoemaker. Once you receive the tune, there's no real reason to data log. And if there was, I mean, that'd be something I could do, or it should be part of, you know, the charge and the cost. I could be wrong on that, but it was another $200, so yeah, that kind of sucked, but I was like, whatever. But to get to the issues of the cars, or to get with the issue with the car, there's 2 issues. One, not such a big deal. Other one, much more significant. So the first one that wasn't such a big deal is that I noticed my blinker cadence, you know, when I turn on the turn signal, the cadence was like all out of whack. Like it wasn't just like a steady, you know, even blink. It was like, it almost sounded like a horse galloping. So I like looked at, you know, and this was like after I was driving away from the shop. So I pulled over, just looked at the turn signals, noticed that the front turn signals were not working, but the rears were. Kind of shocked that this slipped the shop, or they didn't care to fix it at the time. Whatever, not a big deal. I did a quick Google search, and whenever you like flash the ECU or whatever, stuff like this can happen. It just takes another reset. It's not a big deal. I was like, you know, either I can do it, or I'll, you know, I can just bring it back to the shop sometime the next week and have them fix it. It's still a little frustrating that, you know, I don't want to say they missed it. I think they ignored it, to give you my honest opinion. But not the end of the world, whatever. The second issue with the car, much more significant, is, you know, I get on the highway, start doing some pulls as you would in your new supercharged Mustang, and I had significant and severe cutout issues. Like it wasn't getting fuel. It was something weird was happening. And again, I would have figured this would have been much more thoroughly tested. Like once you do the install, you got to drive the car a bit to make sure it's running well, and that was totally missed. So the car just ran like crap. So that night, it was Friday night. I text them, telling them, you know, what's going on with the car. And I also, you know, I figured maybe it's just a tune issue, so I emailed Rob Shoemaker and told him, hey, you know, I just got my car back, just got a tune from you through the shop. Almost just said the shop's name, but just got a tune from you from the shop, and I'm just having, you know, just explain the issues. Anyway, so, but the shop said, hey, like, bring the car in tomorrow. Let's take a look at the headlight issue. We can get that fixed for you, and then really what you need to do is more data logging. So I was like, well, if I have them do it, they're going to charge me $200 for the data logging again. Or what I could do is just buy an RTD4 device, and I can do the data logging myself. So I just bit the bullet, bought the $300 device plus the $200 of credits again to get it unlocked to my VIN code. But while I was there, right before I did that, I showed them the response email I got from Rob Shoemaker, and it said, hey, there's nothing wrong with the tune. That should not be causing you any issues. What you need to look at is blowing out spark. So I showed this to the shop. They denied that was the issue, and they said, no, you need to do more data logging and send those log files to Rob so he can do some revisions for the tune. So I was like trapped between 2 experts. So I was like, you know, I guess I'll take the shop's word. I don't know. At this point, just pick one. So I went forward, purchased the RTD4 device upon the shop's recommendation to do more data logging. And so I get back home, and, you know, I start doing data logging. They did fix the headlight issue, which was good, but started to do more data logging. Sent the log files, and I'm getting the same response from Rob. He's saying it's not the tune. You need to look at spark blowout. So I was texting the shop, you know, everything that was going on, and they said, okay. And I told them, I was like, hey, I just need to bring the car in. That's what we need to do. And it's about 3 or 4 days that this has gone by. Super miserable feeling after spending well over $10,000 on a car upgrade, and you get your car back and it just runs like crap. And there just seems to be such a lack of care for the delivered product from the shop. But their response was, okay, hey, can you drop the car off in a week? And that was kind of frustrating to me. Maybe this is just me asking for too much, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like after you spend so much money, like I said, like well over $10,000 say, well, can you drop the car off in a week? I mean, I don't know. I feel like what should have happened is they should have called me immediately after I still told them I was having issues and that it wasn't a tune problem from Rob. I would have expected them to just be like, hey, yeah, we need to get this fixed for you right now. Like, you have spent way too much money to have a wholly unfinished product that's riddled with issues. Like a totally unacceptable result. Like, we need to get this fixed for you right now. But I was like, you know, there wasn't much to do at that point, so I just said, all right, yeah, I guess I'll drop the car off in the shop. But as I'm waiting, you know, a day goes by, I started researching into the spark blowout issue. And what it is, just to give you guys a quick rundown, is with spark blowout, is the spark plug creates, obviously, you know, a spark or a flame. What happens with, it's not super common in modern cars that are naturally aspirated, but once you throw a boost at an engine, what happens is all that massive increase in influx in air into the combustion chamber actually blows out the spark that the spark plug generates. So, to give you a quick little analogy, just think of like a candle in the wind. If there's too much wind and the candle's not covered enough, the flame is going to be blown out. Same exact concept with the spark plug when you're blowing out spark. So I was doing some research into this, kind of realized that it is a common issue if you don't have your spark plugs gapped correctly. So I reached out to Whipple. I was like, hey, how should I gap my plugs? And they told me it needs to be 0.30 inches. And then I also kind of figured, okay, you know, if I'm gonna be, you know, if I'm gonna be pulling the plugs to regap them, I might as well just get a brand new set in there. Like, obviously these are still brand new, basically from the kit, but just to eliminate the possible issue of maybe it's just the plug itself, I'll just get a whole new set of 8 plugs. So I did that, gapped them perfectly, threw them in the car, and the car finally just ran perfect, like absolutely perfect. No more choppiness, no more cutout, no more just like weird running issues when you're doing pulls. Like, the car was just running perfect as it should, which is still so frustrating. This is not something I should have had to fix myself, and take the recommendation from Rob, what he said the issue was, and have that be denied from the shop. Now, at the end of the day, I can like totally forgive all of this stuff. Like, I get it, things happen. Sometimes you drop the ball. I've certainly done it plenty of times before in my life. Like, things just happen, okay? And I can totally forgive that. What I was saying is, like, if they can make some restitution, you know, make it right. Like, I threw so much money at the car after the install was done to finally get it working correctly, you know. So I had to, you know, I purchased a tune. That's not the shop's fault, right? That's not even Whipple's fault. But, you know, I still threw that money at it. I was charged $200 for data logging, which I never should have been charged for because it was never a tune issue, and Rob never revised it from the original one he sent out. And then also, I should have never had to spend the $500 for the credits and the RTD device, because I wouldn't have never had to do that, knowing that it was just a spark blowout issue. So, all said and done, I threw $700 at the car that I never should have done in the first place. But I texted the shop, it was on that Wednesday after, that, hey, I fixed the issue. It ended up being spark blowout. It wasn't tune related. And they said, oh, you know, they're apologetic, and they were like, hey, yeah, you know, let me, you know, try to hook you up with something, you know, try to cover you somewhere else. I was like, you know, perfect. You know, like, things happen, try to make some restitution for it. Like, you know, I can totally forgive that. Like, not the end of the world here. So I texted them back, and I was like, hey, like, what if we did this? You know, just like, here's a thought that just came to my mind. I've been wanting to do headers. I've been talking to you guys about doing headers for a while now. What if I cover parts, of course, for the headers? You know, I will purchase the headers and everything needed, and then if you guys can just like hook me up on labor. And I did a exhaust manifold or headers install with them a while ago on my last Mustang, my 2018 one, and I think they charged, if I remember off the top of my head, it was like $350 or maybe $400 that they charged me for the install. So I figured that's a pretty reasonable ask. Like, after all that frustration, getting an undelivered product, throwing $700 at the car that I never should have done in the first place, and then me having to fix the issue myself, I feel like a $300, $350 install that they cover would be, that's a pretty reasonable ask. So I texted them, I was like, hey, what if we did that? Like, tell me what you think on this. Hopefully I'm not being too unrealistic. Like, is this something we can work out? At that point, they never got back to me. They totally quit responding to me. They've kind of dropped off the face of the earth. At least for me, trying to get a hold of them. So that kind of settles that one. The best offer they left me at was free labor on an oil change. So I guess that's something, I suppose. But yeah, at the end of the day, it just kind of sucks too, because this is a pretty beloved shop. If you go anywhere, like any Facebook group, any Mustang forum within the DFW area, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, like this is like the #1 Coyote building shop, and they're beloved by people. Like you will only hear good things about them online. So it just kind of sucked that this is my experience with them. I definitely think mine was a one-off. So kind of take it for what it is. Again, I'm not going to mention the shop's name in this video, but it's just really unfortunate. I certainly couldn't. I certainly couldn't, in good conscience, recommend going to them for in the future. If anybody ever asked me what shop to go to, just because I just had such an unfortunate experience with them. But it is what it is. There's not much I can do at this point. The car runs amazing. I'm so happy with it now that I fixed it, not that, but me. But it is what it is. Life happens. Things can be a lot worse. So that was my experience with them. I hope I apologize to you guys for a negative video. This isn't my favorite thing to do. Not something I enjoy at all, but I want to get this out there for you, just to kind of document kind of my journey with this car. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm not going to be the cliche. Again, I've been over this, but I've mentioned this to you guys before, but I'm not going to be the cliche guy that says, oh, please make sure you like, rate, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. I'm not going to do that. If you guys feel like you're ready to subscribe, then go for it. But if you're here and you're taking value from my content, then that makes me happy. That's all I can ask for. But the good news is we have much better content coming. We're finally supercharged. We're going to have a first drive kind of initial reaction video. I want to make sure that this video is done super well, as most of the ones I see on YouTube, they don't seem very good to me. So it's something I think I can make a lot better. But yep, so I think that'll be it for today's video. So appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Also, the speed bumps on the road, that is insane. Who thought that was a good